Let's go now to a question that we got from a viewer named Patrick. He wrote asking about the new rent control law, Senate Bill 611, that Governor Tina Kotek signed into law earlier this month. Here's what he says happened to him the day before she signed it. He says, I received a new lease offer by email with an increase of 14.54% rather than the newly signed limit of 10%. This is 5 months before my current lease expires. It looks like they're trying to work around the new rate limit. Patrick wants to know if the offer is legit and valid since his lease will expire after the new law is signed. Unfortunately for Patrick, it does kind of look like his landlord is probably trying to work around the new rate limit and might be able to do it. Based on some of the legal analysis we've received when asking experts, the landlord offer does stand. The law only applies to lease renewal offers that come after the law was signed and for rentals that are more than 15 years old. Let's back up and take a look at the law. This is considered an emergency update to Oregon's rent control law that passed back in 2019. That 2019 law prevented landlords from raising the rent more than 7% a year plus inflation. Well, you probably know that last year inflation went kind of crazy. That meant the rent hike cap was 14.6% for 2023. That was a bit hard to swallow for a lot of renters who thought the law would give them some relief from big rent jumps. Here are two of them testifying to lawmakers in favor of this new bill back in March.
I live with the constant stress of knowing that if my landlord raises my rent by the allowable 14.6%, I will be priced out of my home. My fixed income is just above the threshold to qualify for any assistance, but not enough income to pay that kind of rent increase.
Several of us are not going to go see our grandkids this year because we can't afford the travel or turned our thermostats down. I have a 94-year-old woman that's wearing a coat every day.
Now, under the new law, landlords cannot raise your rent by more than 10% or the 2019 rule of 7% plus inflation, whichever is lower, if your unit is at least 15 years old. It's an emergency ordinance, so it went into effect immediately after the governor signed it. So now the cap is 10% for the rest of the year, and a new rent cap will be calculated for next year based on updated inflation numbers. Those numbers are falling, by the way. June's annual inflation rate was 3%. But again, the law only applies to lease renewal offers that came in after the bill was signed, which was July 6th. So it has to be after that. If your landlord, like Patrick's, told you your rent was going to go up on July 5th, even if the increase doesn't actually happen for months, sorry, seems like you're stuck with that. Your best bet is to try to negotiate with your landlord to get the lower increase. Sorry, Patrick, it doesn't look good, but it looks like that is what is going to have to happen.